Dr. Smith, physical therapist here, and today I'm going to be covering the PDGM reimbursement. If you saw my prior video on PDGM, it showed that those agencies that continue to provide unnecessary care are actually going to lose a lot of money once this takes effect January 1st, 2020, and those agencies that continue to meet the patients where they're at and do the right thing and not provide unjustified therapy and so on are actually going to be very, very profitable. That being said, if you're an agency and you just laid off a lot of people and you can't provide the same amount of therapy you've been providing because you were committing a lot of fraud, you're probably going to be audited in the future by Medicare as well as lose a lot of money. However, if you've been doing the right thing, as I said, you will be profitable. And if you want to see the profit margins, you can refer to my prior PDGM video. So we're switching to 30-day payment models in PDGM, and the average 30-day payment is going to be $1,753.68. Now, this is not going to be just therapy, just nursing. It's going to depend on a variety of factors. So for each patient, you're going to get this amount of money on average. However, if it's a very complex patient, especially one that came from an institution, you're going to get $3,000 plus for 30 days, where if it's a low patient, you might get a little bit less than this, like $1,500. That being said, if you continue to provide care to complex patients, you're going to get more money. However, it's also going to depend on your referral sources and so on, and the agency that you work for. Now, will salaries change? Will everything change? Most likely not, because what's going to happen is you still need to provide therapy, and if you provide less therapy, you're going to be audited. And if you start providing care to more complex patients, you're actually going to make a lot of money. And if you continue to meet patients where they're at and show that there's justified care, you're going to continue to make money. Everyone's afraid that therapists are going to be fired. If you're fired, you probably suck as a therapist or an assistant, because if you're providing good care and your patients are getting better, unless the company is going under, you're probably not going to get fired. And those companies that have fired people early and you hear about layoffs, it's usually because they were committing a lot of fraud. They saw how much money they're going to lose when they get audited, so they're trying now to fix everything so they don't get audited. However, this is most likely too late, but we don't know. So why am I showing you this today? Because as we know, it's now based on medical need, not therapy need for payment, which is actually better in my opinion, because the medical need is going to show a little bit more complexity, make the notes more justified, and it's going to actually make it harder for insurance to deny claims when we have more specific diagnosis than just generalized weakness, which you can no longer bill and code. Now, if you're doing your own billing and coding, I hope you're getting paid a lot more, especially as a therapist, because it is not your job to do that. Your office has their own billing and coding to do that, but we can go into that later, okay? So this is the average here. We're going to go into a few examples. Again, this is all from CMS. If you've taken my Home Health Mentor course, you can also find this link there, or you can just Google it yourself. So this is, I believe, like 80 something slides, and there's an audio version and a video version. 82 slides, yes. There's an audio version and a video version. You can see there's all this different thing. And again, it can be community early, community late, institutional early, institutional late. Again, this is going to depend on the payer, the insurance, everything like that. But we can see all these different groupings here. The functional impairment, low, medium, high. If they're high, you're going to get paid more. If they're low, you're going to get paid less. Again, we'll go into LUPAs. Right now in PPS, a LUPA is 4 or fewer visits. So in prospective payment, say they pay you for 6+ visits, but you only do 4, well, now you got to pay some money back. In this new model, say it's low complexity, if you do 3 visits, it's no longer a LUPA. But if it's high complexity and you don't do at least 6 visits, it's now a LUPA. So there's going to be a lot of adjustments going on. Again, there's over 432 case mix scenarios, and that's going to depend on the payments. And it's going to be interesting how it plays out. But ultimately, if you are a good clinician and you provide value and basically you're not a pussy, you should be okay. All right, so again, these are Oasis items. I'll go in here. And what I mean by that is just like, know your worth, state your worth, show your worth. Because if you're not, then you know what, maybe you will get fired and maybe you just suck as a clinician. I don't know. But here we can go into this point system here for functional impairments. And I'm going to keep going here before I go off on a rant. So here's the grouper tool, and you can download this. I have it back here as well, and I'm going to go to an example in a second. But in the grouper tool, we can see that, for example, Mr. Smith here was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes with hyperglycemia from his primary care physician, so it's a community referral. And we can see they used early as an example, community referral, clinical grouping. They use this code. If you don't know these codes, again, you can't use like M62.81 anymore because it's a BS code. So you're going to have these codes and you can download and look for them here up in the ICD codes. And again, you can just click on this here if you download this file. But we'll go back to the example. We can see it's an endocrine code. Then he has a rehab code for neuro rehab. Then we have a cardiac code, a GI code. We go in here, we look at the OASIS. And remember, as therapists, whether OT or PT doing OASIS, you guys know these better than anyone else, better than nursing. These are very therapy-driven groupings here, at least on the OASIS. So we have a case mix weight of 1.2759. We look at all these adjustments here, and actually the payment ends up being about $1,000 more for this 30 days. So in this 30 days, say nursing goes out and therapy's in, then you're still making a lot of money for your agency, or nursing's in, you guys are both making money for the agency. But we all know that usually therapy stays in a bit longer, and that's going to allow you to eat up more of this, okay? Second example here, we have a patient that came from the institution, and we see early institutional, and again, from the institution, you're going to get a bit more money. It's going to be a bit complex. What's going to be interesting with the PDPM going on in SNFs is if patients come out, they're more complex, then home health therapists are actually going to be generating a lot more money because the patients are going to be more complex from the SNF if they're discharged early or they can't justify care. So it's actually going to be very interesting how this all plays out. And what we see here is in the more complex patient that had the colostomy, they're actually getting $3,000 in that 30 days. So if you saw this patient for the full cert, the cert's still 60 days. That's over $6,000 for that patient. And that's going to be nursing and therapy need and so on. However, it could just be a therapy need. Maybe nursing just opens the case or therapy opens the case, or maybe we just get OT in there and that's all they need and they need it for 8 visits. What's going to be interesting is when there's still therapy only, which there still will be therapy only. Anybody that tells you there's not going to be therapy only or they'll only use PTAs or CODAs, that doesn't make any sense because you need an OT or a PT to open the case. So what we do here is say, for example, we do 8 visits, or no, let's do PT, OT combined, and we'll do 16 visits. So we'll do early community. I put the injury of the right hip in here, type 2 diabetes, so we have a rehab and an endo. We go in here, we go through the OASIS, and we can see we're 1.2, so that's $2,100 for that. And if we change it to institutional, if it will let me. Sorry, this thing's a little bit messed up right now. But anyway, if we change it to institutional, it'd be a little bit more money. And again, you can download this file, play with all these codes. I don't know why it's not letting me do that right now. But you got the point. You saw the other example. And again, you can play with this. And so if it is therapy only, you're still going to be generating a decent amount of money. Remember now, it's medical-based need. However, you're still going to need therapy. A home health agency cannot provide therapy. If they don't provide therapy, they're going to go with someone else. However, if some agencies do that, it might be a good opportunity for you to open your own staffing company and then provide services that way, but make sure that your building and coding is on point or else the agency won't use you anymore. So if you actually want to be good at staffing, possibly offer that you're an expert at building and coding or hire an expert builder and coder, and that way they know that you're going to generate that money. So whether you're an occupational therapist, a speech therapist, a physical therapist, a CODA, a PTA, you're not going to lose your job. You're going to stay in a good position. You're always going to have access to provide therapy and make money. Again, if you're in an oversaturated area, then maybe if you're not providing as much value as someone else, you may need to move, or maybe politics. You can always do travel. Again, reach out to me if you want a discount code on the Home Health Mentor course. I'm giving it away at least to the end of the month, and then it's just going to be a flat rate. But that course has helped people get over $100,000 even going into this new model as PTs and OTs, and it's also helped PTAs and CODAs make $60,000 to $75,000 plus. So just know your worth, know that you're valuable, know that these agencies most likely need therapy more than you need the job, and you have to realize going into that how valuable you are. And earlier when I was saying don't be a pussy, I wasn't trying to be offensive, but I'm saying that if you don't speak up for yourself, who's going to speak up for yourself? If you don't speak up for your profession, who will? Yes, we have different therapy organizations that do politics for us and so on, and you should always pay into those and invest into those. But you also have to speak up for yourself at the end of the day, and if you don't like what's going on, change your situation. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Hope this video was helpful.